is Taven.
Taven who?
Taven Cunningham. Okay. I would like to thank Ron for coming here and helping me for my my report.
Okay.
Thank you, Taven. I'm delighted to come to help you.
And you're going to ask him a couple of questions, right?
Okay, yeah. I was going to ask you a couple of questions about my first grade book report, well, not book report, about the Irish Famine.
Okay, go ahead. Hopefully I can answer some of your questions.
Okay. Number one, did you know any stories about the Irish Famine?
Yeah, I know some stories. It was a terrible time in Irish history. And one of my... there's actually a song about the Irish famine called The Fields of Athenry.
Oh yeah, we heard that song on the internet.
Okay, so your dad played it for you, and it's a story about a young family, and because the potato crop had failed, you know, they had no food for dinner, nothing to eat, and at that time, you know, a lot of Irish people relied on potatoes for their dinner because there wasn't many other things to eat, and so this couple, they had a child, and the only way that the dad could figure out how to feed his family was to steal some corn from the fields so that they could make bread.
Yeah, but he got arrested for that.
He got arrested for that, that's right. And at the time, because Ireland was ruled by England, so that was a really, you know, bad thing to do. But, you know, he wanted to help his family. You know, he didn't want his family to starve. But, you know, the English people that were ruling Ireland, to them that was a really bad thing. So he got arrested and he got put into jail. And then the punishment was that, you know, people that did bad things, they got put on a ship and they were sent to Australia. Because Australia was so far, far, far away. You know, so if you were sent to Australia, you would never be seen again. You know, because it took weeks and weeks and weeks to reach Australia by boat. You know, it's not like today where you can get on an airplane and get there, you know, in 16 hours. It was a long, long way. Maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks in a boat. So, so his wife was really sad because she saw the ship that was leaving Ireland going to Australia with, you know, her husband, and she knew that she was never going to see him again. So there's a song in Ireland that's really popular called The Fields of Athenry, and it's about that story about the Irish famine.
Okay, number two. How has Ireland changed because what had happened?
Well, the population of Ireland is still one of the smallest in Europe, and the population never got back. When the famine happened, there was 8.5 million people living in Ireland, but then so many people died because they had no food, you know, because all the potatoes were bad, so nobody could make food.
With blight?
With the blight, yeah. And then a lot of other people went on boats to America, you know, to start a new life. And that's why, you know, there's a lot of Irish people now in America.
Including you two.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because Cunningham is a very popular Irish name. In Ireland, I know a lot of people with the last name Cunningham. Very, very popular. One of my next door neighbours their last name is Cunningham. So a lot of those people, you know, they were so poor and they had no money to buy food, so they saved a little bit of money that they had and they went on the ships that came to New York and Boston. But a lot of people on the way, they died because it was really long journey and there was storms and there wasn't always enough food, and people got, pneumonia, they got bad colds and got pneumonia and died, so it was really tough. So the population was 8.5 million, and after the famine it was down to about 4 million, 3.5 million, 4 million, and since then the population has never got back to 8.5 million. I think the highest it's been is 5 million. Even though now we've had a lot of people move from Europe, like from Poland and Latvia and Lithuania, they've come to Ireland for jobs, but there's still not 8.5 million people. So the population has never recovered. So that's what the famine did to the population.
Okay. Number 3. Is there a memorial for the famine victims? Did you visit it?
Yes, there's like lots of memorials around the country, but one of them is in Dublin, where I'm from, and there's a big cemetery there called Glasnevin Cemetery, and a lot of the memorials to different things that's happened in Ireland and to famous people are in Glasnevin Cemetery. And it's a big old cemetery. It's probably about 250 years or more old, and actually my dad is buried there. So when I go home to Ireland to visit my mum, I always go out to Glasnevin to visit my dad's grave. But they have a commemoration. It's like a big like a big monument to the Irish famine. Yeah. And actually, I think the anniversary of the cemetery is in next year, the year after. I think it's like 250 years old, because they're doing a lot of work there at the moment. To make it look this. They're making all the trees, cutting all the branches. Because a lot of the trees are very old. Some of them are 100 years old. So, and they built a new centre there. For tourists, that they can go in and learn all about the Irish heroes from the 1916 Rising and independence in 1932, and very famous Irish people. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that you can learn about there is the famine.
Okay, number 4. Why did your family stay? Why did your family stay in Ireland?
Why did my family stay in Ireland? Well, I've got there's me, and then I've got one brother and one sister, and my brother lives in Wales, and he has a little, well, he's not little now, he's 11, actually 12, his name is Aidan, and then my sister is married, and she lives in Dublin, not far from my mum's house, and my nephew, he's also 12. And then my mum, she's lived in Ireland all her life, and all her friends are there, so they're all happy there. Mm-hmm. So they come over and visit me on vacation, and I go and visit them. So they're happy with their lives in Ireland.
How's it back on Ireland? How's it back on Ireland?
How's it back? Mm-hmm. Like how? What do you mean? How are things? Uh-huh. Well, they're okay. I mean, the economy is all around the world is difficult at the moment, so it's a little bit difficult in Ireland. So a lot of people now, that don't have jobs, they're going to, believe it or not, Australia to get jobs. Before, when they went to Australia, it was a bad thing, but now it's they're going for a good reason, to start a new life. But a lot of the people that were sent to Australia, prisoners, they actually became famous people in Australia. One of the prisoners that was sent, he became, I'm not sure of his name, but he became the Prime Minister of New South Wales, which is the state where Sydney is. And I think he may have gone on to become Australian Prime Minister, which is like the president over here. But I'm not 100% sure of that. I'd have to check that out. But some of the Irish people that were sent did very, very well. They became important people in Australia.
Number 5. Did they teach you about the famine in school?
Yes. When we go to school in Ireland, we learn a lot about Irish history, right back to when St. Patrick came to Ireland and brought Christianity to Ireland. That's why we have St. Patrick's Day. So we learned the story of how St. Patrick was kidnapped by the Vikings and brought to Ireland, and then later then he moved away, but he could hear the people of Ireland calling him back, because they needed help. So he came back to Ireland, and one of the things he did was, they say, he banished all the snakes. So there's no snakes in Ireland. So we learn all about St. Patrick, and then we learn, all about, hundreds of years of Irish history and the Celts, which is going a long, long way back. All the way up to present day. Yeah, and the famine is one of those things that we learn about.
Okay, and number 6. What can we learn from the tragedy?
What can we learn? Whoa, that's a a difficult question. Well, I guess that when you're poorer, like the people were back then, that sometimes life is very hard, and people could only afford potatoes. So when you rely on one thing, it can be dangerous, because if that goes bad, then you've got nothing else to eat. So I guess the thing that we learn is that we have to make plans where we have different things that we can rely on, as a country. For example, okay, just not let's rely on potatoes. Let's grow all different types of like carrots and all sorts of different things. At that time it was just potatoes, which wasn't a good idea, because then when they all went bad, we had nothing to eat. So the lesson learned is you have to not rely on one thing. You have to be more resourceful. And plus it was a hard time as well, because the English people, it was the English Empire, so they ruled a lot of countries around the world, and sometimes they just back then the kings and queens of England just wanted the best for England, and so the countries that were part of the British Empire, they suffered in different ways. So when we got our independence, then we were able to be our own country, and build our own future, and we didn't have to rely on someone else to do that for us. So and that's the good thing about America. You can be whatever you want to be in America. So if you want to be president, you can be president if you want. You just have to work towards it. So we learned from our mistakes. We learned to be more independent.
Mm-hmm. And that is pretty much all of it.
Okay, they were excellent questions. Very good.
And what do you say for all that, Taylor?
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Why don't you shake his hand?
Thank you. Thanks for all those good questions.
Yeah, I had to write them down.
That was a good idea.